Okay, savages. So we just recorded the last piece. And after we stopped, we had a bit of a conversation. We just realized there was more to say.
Yeah.
So here we are. And we're going to see if we can say it. Maybe we can't.
We can do our best.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of like touch upon again what we discussed about my particular struggle that I have anyway when it comes to having, I guess, having like certain conflicts with particular people in my life and being able to kind of step back and see it for what it is, in the sense that I know it's a reflection. But also I know that it's bringing up a lot that I need to be and sit with, and it's triggering for a reason. It's a gift, right? But at the same time, I guess my struggle is, does that then take away from the fact that this person is displaying, particularly towards me in that moment, some very unpleasant and maybe even abusive behavior?
So someone with that kind of behavior, most likely it's not just one person they're affecting. It might be their
Yeah.
family, co-workers. It could be a circle of people who are kind of realizing that this person is whatever, difficult. But if you also consider the possibility that this circle of people have all contracted to draw in this energy and this person, and also consider the possibility that a lump of coal remains a lump of coal without pressure. Pressure changes the lump of coal into the diamond. So we need to be tested. We need people to push our buttons or to push us or to find the fucking little things that get to us. So we need this person to find those things, to present them to us for us to become the diamond or for us to evolve. So we can look at, say, someone like Trump, and we can write him off and say, well, he's just an asshole. Like, he's narcissist, says nasty things, racist, whatever you want to call it. Or we can look at it from another perspective, that in a way he or his being has volunteered. I'd like to put in a disclaimer. I'm not a Trump supporter or Trump fan by any stretch of the imagination, but his being, in a sense, volunteered to play this role of this being in order to activate and challenge, in this case, an awful lot of people. So when
Can I just stop you for a second?
yeah.
Is it possible to, do you feel it's possible to feel into both of those at the same time, like have an understanding and awareness that he is playing his role, right? But at the same time, his role is very unpleasant and like unloving.
Yes, it is possible to feel into. It is possible to hold both of those views. So in knowing that someone is my shadow and my reflection, and that they're showing me my behavior, that may not diminish in those moments that I still hate the person or I still struggle with the person. So in just knowing that they're my shadow, it's not enough. I'm still going to be challenged. But
Okay.
in my experience, the more stuff I have integrated, genuinely, the less I think any of these people are assholes. I actually see them as just teachers. Like, to take it into medicine work, I mean, as I encountered demons and reptilians in ayahuasca work, I saw things fucking walk across the room to me that looked like the most gruesome things you can imagine. And very early on, I saw them as like parasites, threats, have to fight them, have to get rid of them, the same way we do with people in the world who are disruptive and we think we have to get away from them. But then as I began to work with my own power and centeredness, I realized I could communicate with these things. They're not abusing me anymore. It's like, in a way, I've never owned a dog, but I believe it's like dogs, in the sense that
Yeah.
if we don't assert ourselves with a dog, the dog tries to take control. It will jump on the couch, it will bark, it will growl. But as soon as the human steps up, then the dog knows, oh, he or she is in control. I can relax. And that's the same way I feel with entities. And it's the same way with these difficult people in the world. If we're giving them our power and getting all anxious and angry, we're fucking feeding that cycle. And then that cycle will continue. And that's what we're seeing in the world. Where as soon as we center ourselves, take our power back, and less actually judge the person or hate the person or any of that kind of thing, and allow the possibility that they are teaching me to center myself.
Yeah.
Then we see them as a gift.
Yeah. What do you feel then in the case of like boundaries though, then, like, even though loved ones or people in our lives can be gifts at times, where is the line that can't be crossed? Like, where do we say, okay, this is no longer a gift for me and I need to distance myself from this person?
There is no invented, or there is no concrete boundary that I can tell you, and I wouldn't tell you anyway. It is the maybe bad analogy of the bridge, that it's like, as you, and I know from you, because I'm remembering now that you have had moments of light bulb moments, that in the integration you're in the shit and you're wondering, how do I get through this, or what's it going to look like, or where's my boundary? But it's in that other people around you have changed.
Yeah.
The dynamic has changed. Now, I know that doesn't address boundaries, but it's a two-way street in the sense that the person changes, but then also that you might find, well, I need to express myself here. I need to assert myself. Like, it comes through us. It's an organic, instinctual awareness. And it's also a gradual growth. It's not like someone's abusive, someone's toxic, or disrespectful, and then all of a sudden, bang, I go from black to white, and it's like, woo, boundary. It's not like, that's not my experience. It's like, I go in, I get walked on a little bit, I maybe express myself a little bit, and very gradually I build up, and then I realize and I see, this is what's happening here. And I know now how to manage this situation. Manage is the wrong word, but I know how to communicate my way through it. So I think we need to allow ourselves the growth. This is an unfolding. It's not a one moment of like, you go to that person and, Lynn, you should say this. No, it's like, it's gradually, as you move into your power, you are it. You're inhabiting that energy, as opposed to trying to fucking throw out words that will protect you or get that person away from you. You are a new energy. They have to interact with you differently.
Yeah. So the best thing that we can do is to be with ourselves in those moments of trigger.
Yes.
As we move through it and as we're able to love ourselves deeply through it, then things shift.
Yeah.
And unfold in probably different ways than they would have had we not sat with ourselves.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, if I'm walked on, or someone I get people to take advantage of my time. If I'm kind of taken advantage of, it's not their responsibility, it's mine. It's up to me to recognize that. And in those moments, if I feel that I'm being disrespected or abused or whatever the stuff is, I am more important. Gavin, my being is more important than going to them and having a conversation. They can wait. I'll fucking talk to them next week or never again. That doesn't matter. And that's something I do try to get across to people. I mean, if you have an argument with a spouse or a child or a neighbor or something, that person can fucking wait. Relax, leave them alone. If you're triggered, or if I'm triggered, well, then my work is with me. I need to make peace with Gavin. I need to integrate the fucking trauma or the reactivity, the defensiveness, the aggression, fear, and the grief that's underneath. And then when I'm ready, let that settle. and I may feel moved to make contact with that person or draw a boundary or whatever it may be. But I come first in those moments.
Do you know what's so interesting that just came up for me? Like, prior to learning how to meditate and like coming across all this shadow work, I know there was a point in my life for quite a while where every time I'd come into conflict with a loved one, instead of like being there for me first, it would be like, oh my God, okay, there's so much discomfort here. I need to resolve this. I need to make things right. Things need to go back to normal again. So then you kind of like rush to communicate. You rush to kind of like, you know, move through it, but not from a space of where it's not from a loving space. That's definitely not from a loving space of yourself, you know, because you're kind of acting from a place of fear.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. And you're bringing all that stuff into this hopefully new communication, but it can't be new communication because you're bringing all the fucking baggage with you. Like I have,
and then there's so much, you hold so much resentment too after that. Like you sometimes you say sorry, or sometimes you give like premature forgiveness passes out just so that things are okay again, and then you just abandon yourself. Right? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. The phrase I kind of rely on is, when I'm at peace with myself, I'm at peace with the world. Like, genuine. I know I've written posts about this, and I'm not sure at times if people get it or believe me, but genuinely, I don't see any problem in the world at all. Don't see anything wrong. There is nothing wrong. And people will go, well, like the climate or the fucking lockdowns or the vaccines or all this. This is just consciousness unfolding. There's a purpose behind all of these difficult people, politicians, whatever it may be, circumstances. They're all purposeful to purge our fucking stuff, our anger and our frustration. It's a release. It's all. Now, that doesn't mean it's pleasant just because we intellectually know, oh, this is purposeful. It's still going to be fucking uncomfortable. What I wanted to say was that, so I've always had a difficult relationship with my dad. And, you know, we've gone through multiple times of not even speaking to each other. Even living in the same house at times. Like, we would pass each other on the stairs. We'd be making breakfast in the morning. We wouldn't even say hello to each other. And that went on for fucking months. And, you know, I always kind of thought he has to change. You know, he has to. Now, he has a kind of circle of people around him who he would generate conflict with. So he is one of these people. But now I honestly, even though I still, you know, we're not best friends, not by a long way, but, and we're difficult with each other. There's a dynamic between us. But in doing my own shadow work and in looking at my own stuff over the last few years, now I'm not in Ireland, but, you know, I found that I could visit my parents, and I didn't need him to be the way I wanted him to be.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to change. He's 80 years of age. He likes his stuff. So I became more. Now, I didn't run in the door and fucking hug him and tell him I loved him. It wasn't like that. It wasn't the Hollywood kind of. But I wasn't coming in the door with all my fucking anger and frustration about him and the way he raised me, or how, you know, he doesn't know anything about me. He doesn't know who I am. And I had all that anger of like fucking wanting his acceptance and love. But really, I wanted my own acceptance and love. And as I've made more peace with him, I've realized he's just fucking doing his best.
He is, yeah. And so are you.
Yeah. Like we're all just fucking trying to make our way, you know. But yet I had all this angst about him. And in reality, if it is real, I don't even know what fucking reality is anymore, but I do subscribe to the view that my higher self has asked him to behave the way he's behaved all these years. And even, I don't want behave to sound disrespectful or dismissive, but I wouldn't be where I am without him.
Yes.
Of all the pressure that I went through, or lack of acceptance or love, or whatever you want to call it, I wouldn't, it forced me to work. It forced me to be who I am. And it also gave me the tenacity or the work ethic, I suppose, that now I can bring to other people, and that it's okay. Like, to return to your initial question, you know, of a person who, are they a dickhead? Are they difficult or whatever? That it's like, I mean, as I've said many times, I'm not a fan of Conor McGregor, but you know, he had to fight people in order to become a good fighter. You had to get punched in the face. He probably had broken bones or broken noses. So, I mean, in the ring, he could kind of go, what's happening? Like, this person has hit me. This is terrible. But no, in reality, this person is making him better. So these people, like my dad or like Donald Trump, that come into our lives to fucking push our buttons or whatever it is they do, these are all opportunities for me to become more centered, more grounded, integrate my reactivity, and evolve.
Can we go back to what you mentioned about knowing that it was your higher self that's asked your father to present a particular behavior towards you for you to move through what you needed to? Like, can you kind of like delve into that a bit more? Not just with your father, but just like in general, about when we go through things, it's our higher selves that are asking for us to have this particular experience.
Well, for me, I'm not conscious. I'm barely conscious. I know in the terms of spirituality, people can say I'm awake now, and I am more awake than I've ever been, probably. And we all had those moments where we changed, you know, and we fucking saw more of who we were and saw more of the world. But there's also a lot that I do not see. There's a lot that I'm not conscious of. You know, like these people who come into our world and we're kind of wondering, why is he here? What's, you know, and we overthink it. But I now realize, like, there are these great minds, you know, the quotes that I put on my stories, and even in modern times of Eckhart Tolle, the likes that people say that we can use everything in our life to evolve. Everything around us is being drawn in. I know I've heard those kinds of things for years and years, and you read them, and you go, oh, everything is being presented for my highest good, you know, but now I'm beginning to live it and to see that, yes, if I can work with it, I can gain a little bit of experience and then realize, fucking hell, that actually was an opportunity. That really was a lesson.
I remember the first time when I can't remember what the situation was, but I was going through something and I was deeply triggered, and I called you up and I was like, Gavin, this is what happened. And I was like in tears, and there was so much grief moving through me. And you said the words, Lynn, your higher self has asked for this experience in this exact moment. And I just remembered like how I went from being deeply like feeling all this grief and in tears to like laughing my freaking ass off. And it wasn't me just like, I don't know, it was just like, it was almost like there was this knowing. As soon as the frequency of those words hit my heart, it was like, okay, I get this. I hear you. I completely get this, you know, and I just couldn't stop laughing because it's like, I just knew what you said was true, I guess.
Yeah, I think like sometimes we feel those things and it is a deep knowing. It's something in our being. Yeah. Something in the being just goes, this is real. I believe this. I get this. We don't have to think about it or justify it or understand it or any of that stuff. It just hits us. So you mentioned The Secret before. You know, we come from a kind of spiritual world, which is about, you know, designing our lives, manifesting, creating our day, creating our life. And I came from that as well. I mean, I was a Ramtha student around the time of The Secret. I've exercises of manifestation. I manifested things, I tried to create things, all that kind of stuff. But I also then found myself on a journey where it's just the only way of putting it is like those doors were just closed to me. And there was one avenue, and the one avenue was fall apart. The one avenue was shadow. I tried all so if people kind of think, well, why did he live in his car? Why didn't you fucking do this? I tried everything to get out of that, and I couldn't get out of it. It burned me out. But So now on the other side of that world of manifesting and trying to design my life, I'm realizing that what this higher self is presenting to me is far greater than
what you think you want. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Far greater.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm in Mexico. I'm overlooking through one window because of curtains closed and the other, the Pacific Ocean, the sea, and the sun is shining. 5 months ago, I lived in a fucking car in Dunleary, in Dublin. And I mean, I didn't design this. I did dream about it and I did want to get out of Ireland. But I'll tell you something else. So 2-3 weeks ago, I was in an Airbnb. I was looking for an apartment, and I found this apartment that overlooked a golf club, and it was quiet. There was a pool for the complex, and it just looked beautiful. But it was really expensive. It was nearly double my budget, and I got in touch with the owner and tried to meet the owner outside of Airbnb to try and do a cash deal. And she wouldn't go for it. She was afraid for insurance and all the rest of it. So I kind of got down. I thought, fuck, like that's the place. And I couldn't find somewhere else like that. And then my estate agent presented this place, which is in my budget, which is huge. So if I had got what I wanted, I actually would have got a far more expensive apartment. You know, it's like by letting go and just kind of going with it, which isn't easy. It's the higher self is presenting a better alternative, a better option.
It's not easy, is it? Like
No.
to stay in the dark and just like have no certainty of what's going to unfold. It's not easy, but I guess I've learned that it serves me well to follow what my heart is feeling and to trust.
Yeah. Like it doesn't always go straight to the heart. You know what I mean? We go through a bit of chaos first, and it's in that chaos that we think, oh, fuck, maybe I should be controlling things. I should make things happen. But if we can stay in the letting go, it unfolds or evolves into the heart, into something that's actually more us than we knew could be us, you know?
Yes.
Like with the idea of the higher self, right, presenting people or experiences to us. Like there's someone we both know who says, and she curses the higher self at times. She see kind of projected timelines of what's unfolding and go, fuck that, no, like, because the higher self is presenting all these things to us, and at times we might go, hang on a second, do I really need to go through that again?
Yeah. Again.
But if we test it, like, so someone might be listening to this and they might be in a like lockdown or abusive marriage or a fucking abusive boss or whatever it may be, something that's pretty chaotic, and they're going, I didn't design this, or but if you can step back from the intensity of it, like all the chemicals, all the stories, all the trauma, the energy of it, and get a bit of perspective, or even better, a less charged experience. So let's leave the charged experience and let's choose something more simple. You know, your credit card is declined, or laser card, or your car has a flat tire, or you missed the bus, something small but still relevant. If you can work with those smaller things and see them as being purposeful and work through the frequency of that, well, then it becomes easier to work through the frequency of the harder, more intense, seemingly toxic things. So don't jump. You know, when people talk about, oh, is there a God? They go, well, why is there millions of people starving? Well, it's like, don't go to the most extreme example. Bring it back to the simple example. You know, look at your life. Look at the simple things. Do you think there's maybe a higher power or a higher universal energy active in this? Keep it fucking simple.
I feel like a lot of people find it very difficult to grasp the fact that how could something be so, I don't know, traumatizing or unpleasant and still be for my highest good? Or, you know, like people find it difficult to get their heads around that.
I hear you. And I think, I wonder, the idea through modern spirituality that everything can be achieved through bliss. You know, that if we, like you had talked earlier about, say, the love and light and denying your pain or denying the stuff that was coming up. If there are people who can do that, I have no issue with them, like fair play to them. But, and I do think it is possible to be in that state, but I think we need to be on the other side of the bulk of our shadow, or else if we're trying to manifest or trying to create, we're bringing our shadow into that world and we're kind of generating more of it. Carl Jung says, if depression shows up, treat it like a woman in black. Invite her in, sit her down, make her tea, and listen to what she has to say. And that's what we do with shadow integration. We feel whatever it may be, embrace that emotion or that trauma. So it's the same with Donald Trump, or it's the same with global warming, or whatever it may be. Anything that triggers us is to see this as the woman in black, that this is purposeful. Let's feel it, let's hear it, and let's just see where it goes.
Yeah. I feel like where like a lot of people are unaware of what shadow work even is, they are probably unaware of like their go-to what's the word, their go-to
reaction or escape,
go-to place for escape, basically. And like even with myself, I had no idea what I used to do until a few months ago. My thing was like keeping myself busy.
Yeah.
I'm laughing now because like I remember when we first connected, and every time we'd talk, like I'd be like, hey, I'm going to go and do this now. I'm going to do some breath work. I'm going to do some like shamanic drumming. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to a cap session, blah, blah, blah. And you were kind of like, do you ever just like not do nothing? Do you ever just like just lie down in your bed and just fucking chill and do nothing? And I'm like, no, because for me, like when I have my own time, I like to, you know, have my timetable full. And I thought I was loving myself in that way because I was giving myself time to do things that I loved.
Yeah.
Enjoyed. So I thought I was loving myself, and really and truly what I was doing was I was avoiding the silence, the stillness, and avoiding being with me.
Yeah.
And I had fucking no idea
what
I was doing. I had this one particular experience last year during the lockdown where I felt myself being so heavy. But I guess I didn't want to feel any of the pain. And I remember being at home and just not being able to stay still. There was nowhere to go. It was pissing down with rain outside. Yet I sat in front of my mirror and put my makeup on with nowhere to go, just so that I would just be moving.
Yeah.
And just, you know, just keep going. Like, just, I don't know, I ended up going to a restaurant to have some Vietnamese food. But what was really interesting was how my body reacted. When I then got into the restaurant, I was having some food, and then all of a sudden my head was just freaking pounding, like it was like, it felt worse than a migraine. And when that happened, I guess it was just really clear to me that my body was saying, you need to go home and be with you. Not, you should be in this restaurant, like eating and being out. You should be at home. And that's when I went home and just sat in the pit of hell. But
worked
it was
through the pit of hell.
But it was that moment though, like that made me realize that, wow, Lynn, like your go-to really is just to keep yourself freaking busy. Like it's not go to food for comfort. Sometimes I used to do that. It's not like go to meet friends or blah blah blah. It was just keep moving, keep your body moving, just do something, just like don't stay still.
Yeah,
you know,
like that in a way that is connected to the lockdowns, to the way the world is, you know, of the person who's a dickhead or who's an asshole. They're actually presenting with us with an energy to work through. So the lockdowns are presenting people with, they can't escape as much, they can't work as much or play sports or go to the pub, or so they're forced maybe to be with their families or be with themselves. Now it's high pressure. I'm not saying it's easy, but
it's bringing up a whole lot of shit.
Yeah. I mean, we I'm sure you know, like we get a lot of people, spiritual people, who are like, I want to ascend or I want to wake up. Here you are. This is it. this is what ascension looks like. It's fucking pressure and it's work. But people have some idea of like it's just gonna be blissful. My heart is gonna open. I'm gonna be, well, maybe that might be an aspect. But I think before we get to that stage, you got to purge, you got to release all the shit that we're holding within. The gift, in a sense, of lockdowns. I know it ain't pleasant, but I kind of feel it's best to, like, you having the realization in the restaurant means that you've learned something. So the next time you're more in tune or empowered to work with the situation, as opposed to making the same mistake again or being dragged around by your emotions.
Yes. And the reason why I brought it up was because, like, you know, I feel like a lot of us are very unaware of our go-to place where we go to sleep.
I agree. That's my doorbell.
Do you want to go and get it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay, yeah. Hang on, give me 1 second.
Okay. Hello. Did you have fun in the toilet?
It's my landlady, because the internet's so bad, was trying to give me her phone as a hotspot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she's trying to give you her phone number. Anyway, moving on.
We are, I think we're about 30 or 35 minutes in. So we should probably wrap up anyway.
We should wrap up then.
Before I walked away, where were we?
I actually don't remember this time.
So this is a natural finish, I suppose. Seeing as I opened the show, if we've cut out this segment, basically my doorbell rang and it was my landlady, so I had to go and talk to her. And then we came back. We're nearly out of time anyway, and we've forgotten what we were talking about. So now Lynn is going to wrap up. And my laptop is about to fall over.
I just want to say thank you so much for being here with us and for receiving what we have to share and say. And this is just really, this is purposeful for me to be here with you right now and to do this. This is taking me completely out of my comfort zone, and I'm just doing my best to be with what I'm feeling as we're talking on the podcast, which has been an interesting experience, but very purposeful. And I'm deeply grateful for you and for everyone here now.
Thanks, Lynn. What she said for me as well. I'm grateful. It's a challenge, and we'll see where it goes. But they're huge subjects. Like, you could talk for hours about these things. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. See you in the next episode.
See you on the next one. Thank you. Bye. Bye.